Thank you very much, ma'am. I think I have a pretty electrical panel because we're talking about profitable expansion, and I think all of these are my colleagues who I've spent all my years of building businesses along with them, building their businesses. Sometimes in the current avatar, sometimes in the private, in the previous avatars as well. At one stage, we used to talk about growth. We've talked about profitability. Then we again talked about growth. Then we talked about slowdowns. I think this panel probably each of them their experiences in the retail industry will really I think have a lot of dimension to give everybody a perspective what's happening and how is the future looking for retail, particularly expansion style. For also have some colleagues who set up new businesses as well. So it would be really great to hear each of your views. So the audience will keep this as a very open-ended discussion. Hear the views from all the panelists, and then we'll keep the last 5-7 minutes for any questions that you have right now. So, Akshat, McDonald's is really considered as the front runner. Typically, I remember when McDonald's came up in India, the first time there used to be queues standing outside to eat with some element of Olympic keeper, which was something which was an invention which was done for India. And they always chose some really prime real estate and they continue to do so. And you've been very innovative in terms of looking at real estate, particularly from expansion perspective. I think probably the first brand in India to come up with drive-thrus, right? The first drive-thru in India concept, and now we're pretty aggressive. We've seen drive-thrus as well. Because earlier always a US concept, you can be seen movie. What do you say? The typical kind of guy, typical American guy, going to work, stopping at a McDonald's, or picking up coffee in the morning. But it's a reality today in India as well. So, how do you see this journey, particularly from your own experience as an individual or part of the retail industry, as well as from McDonald's perspective? Because we've seen this industry taking a lot of turns. We've seen brands grow significantly. We've seen brands go down significantly. We've seen brands also rechange their strategies as well. And all the managers can talk about their strategies also. But from a McDonald's standpoint, how you see the expansion, particularly from a profitability standpoint? Because obviously there are lots of other food category brands, and today we're competing for space not only with the likewise brands or yourself, which you typically call competitors. You're also seeing competition from various other players as well, like, which could be even an apparel brand, right? Because at one time McDonald's used to be the front face of the retail shopping mall was always a McDonald's store, right? And it used to be a McDonald's store today. Today we're talking about drive-thrus, which need to be curated as a space. They have to be. It's not like a ready-made space which you can just create a drive-thru, right? So how are you looking at expansion particularly, and when we talk about profitability particularly coming from in store?
Sure, thanks something. And I think you started the discussion very well that McDonald's was in the business from 95, and we were the pioneers of setting up the first drive-thru. I think what's worked for McDonald's is a lot of research which goes into selection of property. And when we talk about research, it's not about just a particular location, but also the catchment. So understanding the catchment is something which we keep on working on, and we keep on updating our database in terms of why our customers are coming to us. The biggest thing what we've seen in McDonald's is we have a very high retention customer, and that's the reason we've been able to sustain our continuous growth, and the business has been always upward. So the reason behind all this is happening because of two things. One, that while we are selecting a property, we are always taking into factor three things, which is most important, which is visibility, accessibility, and capacity. So these are the three factors which the entire real estate game works on. If the store is visible, of course, you know the McDonald's here, perfect. If the customer can reach to us easily, he will come in. Capacity, very important. We're able to deliver that kind of numbers because we always plan our store in a way that we can drive that kind of numbers. So it's a mix of understanding our business in terms of real estate is what we perform really well. And it's not only India but across the world. Drive-thru, as you rightly said, that it's a game changer for us. One, because it kind of gets us the digital business, which just basically just adding on to the same kitchen. The most difficult part is the design part, how to get the drive-thru right, because if you see a shopping mall and not basically designed for a drive, it's basically designed for a home. We've made some innovations recently. And if you see a couple of new stores which are opened in Greater Noida, in Delhi, they kind of try to build in more. And both the partners are happy, McDonald's and the landlord. So basically, I would say the design part also plays a very important role in making the entire the dynamics. I think third thing I would like to point out is that which is very important, and this is the topic is pressure of profitable expansion. I think it's something which is very important as a BD person is forecasting. So forecasting, I would say post-opening review. I think that's the most important. That there are a lot of assumptions when you open stores in terms of what will be the annual sales, what will be the delivery sales, where is the customer coming from, what is the number we are achieving. I mean, as a BD person, you should also look at the store after 6 months. What is the performance? Where have you failed? Have you achieved this matrix or not? That gives a lot of understanding about your own business. That what will work and what will not. So it's basically a constant, looking into your business, how we can improvise and innovate.
You said visibility, accessibility,
Sir,
and
Devan sir.
Visibility, I think every retailer talks about visibility, and I know McDonald's really, that's why they say that McDonald's is not a burger chain, they're more of a real estate company because they believe the real estate as a location it works is more. Accessibility is very, very important. I think, particularly today's time and world where there's so much happening in consumers' mind, you have to be in the front of the face, you have to be very close to the customers. When you say capacity, how do you go and determine the capacity in terms of, is there a scientific logic which you work on, or is there a formula which you internally, recipe which you have created? Like you created a recipe for your burger, have you created a recipe for capacity?
Yes. So we have a tool, calculator. So we kind of we also know what is the peak hour DC. So that is something which we already know, so we built in the design. So say for instance, if you're looking at a store which will do a 1 crore plus business, that's the kind of capacity we have. And it's a tool you just fill in the size, the number, and then the tool will give you that this is the addition, this will be this is the number of seats. So that's the capacity is very important.
So there's enough time which has been spent to create these sophisticated tools to great. Coming to you, Arun, and when you look at a brand like yourself, which you first were an absolutely homegrown footwear brand, you and got in international brands and partners with multiple other brands, and I think you're getting a new brand as well into the country as well. When you look at the expansion story, and I've seen that Metro was always, the story started with the Colaba store, right? A high street, typical Indian Colabas high street store where people would just park their car or get out on the street and go and shop. And coming there to the malls and the others. How has that changed over the years, and how are you looking at when you partner with international brands? Is the recipe the same when you look at for Metro and when you look at for your international brands, or you look at in the same way, or there's a different way to look at expansion for these brands, and particularly from a profitability standpoint? Because a lot of the markets you will be going to, Metro as a name would be very well known, but they may be new to you as well, right?
Initially we had only the Indian brand like Mochi and certain styles. But post-COVID, what we realized is a lot of sports brands are catching up.
सर वो मिलना भी चाहिए ना सर, वो आधा उसका जाएगा तो मेरे को बाद में
Bringing the strategic brands like sports and nutrition. So that's what we got into the international brands. We started expanding our portfolio. As we speak, we have around 11 brands with us. But again, when you go get into expansion, every brand has a different task. For example, Metro Mochi, the brand recalls are so good, like Crocs and all. So we prefer mostly in malls and high streets. But if it goes to the international brands, then the ask is totally different. So we look into the particular catchment where that works. For example, in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, we don't position this international brand retailer. We look into put our best brand forward in new cities. For example, if we're getting into a new city, then I put my best brand like Metro as the first brand to open into that store and see the performance for a period of 6 months or a period of 1 year. Once it sets a top, say, like a 30 lakhs as a benchmark, once we start hitting this number, then I start looking into my next number of stores in a new city. If it is in a already established market where I always brand presence, then and if it's in the same city, if it's a new emerging market, then we start putting into our all our brand. That's how we do it.
So you basically test the market with a show shot strategy, which is of a brand which is already well established, and then you go and populate that market more with your tier 2 and tier 3 particularly.
Exactly. And again, it depends on the market. Whether it's if it's a value market, then we push in our best brand. Like Walkway is our value brand. So we start with Walkway in those markets. But if it is an emerging market, it gives the confidence of putting the best. Then we put Metro into it. So then Metro, Mochi. In some cities, we get a confidence that the market is already evolved and we want to enter into this phase. Then we put 2-3 brands together. But any brand, when you the market is, for example, Ayodhya. Recently, when Ayodhya came last year, there was so much of noise in the market. Every brand wants to be there in Ayodhya. But we went and validated the city. Then we thought whether this is the right time to get into the market or we should time them. Because timing is again you have to take the right call. Whether you go and jump right in the front or you wait and let the city the infrastructure settle down and then you time it when to open. So then we took the call and this is not the right time. The city is going through a lot of infrastructure development. So then we thought, let us give a phase of 6 months or 1 year break, then we get into the city.
So, Arun, you mentioned about a differentiated strategy, particularly when you have able to, as an organization, able to create a basket of brands. And you have a different basket of brands because you have a different price points and a different positioning for each brand and for international brands and your own brands as well. I think since I also see that you look after the setting up the stores as well, in terms of project management as well. When you're doing the interior fit outs and project, does that vary from, I presume it will vary from brand to brand because the international brands will have a different guidelines and standards. But your own Indian brands as well, or the walkway will be different from Metro because obviously you have to create a different positioning. But within those brands as well, are you able to innovate and save in different markets because some markets may not be as profitable from another market? Are you able to innovate or change the fit out management in that, or is that you can't change it? That has to be a standard format.
That's a good question. So basically, as you rightly said, every concept, every brand, we have different concepts. For example, Metro alone, if you see I have 3 different types of store fit-outs. So if it is going to be a new market, I don't put my premium concept there. I put my concept C over. So it depends on what if it's established market, I always put the premium concept of A. So every brand has its own concept. For example, in Punjab, there are so many factory outlets being developed. So what we do, we always put our outlet models into those cities, especially in the Infiniti 2 cities where the emerging markets comes up. So we don't put a premium brand, but we put our next concept. So every brand has a different concept, and again it comes with different capex, the fit-out cost.
And so that's how you're able to make a value proposition and profitability better, and depending on the market as well. So not only you differentiate in terms of the brand or the category of brand which you're from a bouquet which you enter with, but also within that you also have different levels of brands which whether it comes to fit out or the concept of the brand.
Exactly. If it is, for example, if it is a luxury, if it is like a premium mall, like a Copa kind of stuff, I put my elevated Metro concept. Where the price points also, the offerings of the products differ, the fit-out cost differs. So the look and feel, everything goes up or down. But if it is again going to be a B-grade mall or C-grade mall, then my concept also different. So I don't push my premium concept over. So the same thing applies across my brands. It may be Metro, Mochi, Crocs, not the international brands, because international brands have a standard fit-out guideline. So there, the flexibility a little bit differs because we have to be very much sure on where they are entering. Whereas in Indian brands, I have that flexibility of what concept I have pushed.
And that's when we talk about international brands and coming to you, Deepak. Probably the largest aggregator of international brands in the beauty segment, when this segment is really with your group, which you represent, Shrivastava, and also one of the largest anchor spaces, which is the format of Shrivastava as well in the country. We've seen the format evolve significantly. There was a time when you were doing 20-25,000 square feet stores, now there were 50, 60,000 square feet stores. And then you came up with these beauty concepts, which were earlier large format, smaller formats, individual mono boutiques. Then became the SS Beauty, which became a multi-aggregator of a lot of these brands. And now you're getting into really the more, I would say, bridge to luxury and even luxury format as well. What are you seeing in terms of the change which has happened in terms of profitability? Are you seeing that because you as a group are you moving upwards towards luxury? Is the price point and appetite better? That's why the profitability is better? Or is it you see that there are opportunity to be captured? So how are you looking at that profitable expansion and focusing a lot more on that upper segment now? Particularly because with the shoppers also you've been trying to aim higher and higher as notch every time we see a new store come out.
Thank you, Pankaj. So what has happened is, journey if we started 2 years ago, and if you see, I think one of the biggest changes has happened to our company when to customers is working. If you think how a customer is working, and as we try to learn from our customers, we try to evolve ourselves. So we are now playing in three segments. One is the luxury premium segment, one is the aspirational segment, and one is the masterpiece segment. So when you talk about premium and luxury, so we target on 8 months. We try to expand on the best locations. It's been tough because the supply of mall, of premium mall, is not to the pace of the brand, ask for aspiration. But we have managed good locations so far. The challenge is the ever increasing rental incomes. Like for example, I'll give you a case. We opened a Mac store around 10 years back in Selection in North, and I paid a rent of what, 300 rupees. Today I opened a large store and I paid a rent of 2,000 rupees. So it's very tough to get into ATM malls. So like for example, Shoppers Stop, 80% of my business used to come from malls in tier 1 cities. Now my 60% business comes from tier 2 cities and 40% comes from rest of the cities. So we have also evolved. We started moving to tier 2 cities. We have seen, we go pretty earlier compared to others. So we understand the demographics, the government infrastructure. Also we do a very strong wardrobe study. So we know in that particular item what is customer buying and wearing. So all those, my colleagues talk about technology, so we also use the similar tools. But we, again, as I said, we see customer convenience. There is the property accessible to us. While you are walking on the road, property is visible to you. It is a very convenient property in terms of, level with escalator, lift. So we really push on lots of things. And I think every retailer now aspires to be profitable. And everyone, I think, gone are the days where we wash our hands just by signing the order. Today, every business development professional sitting out here, his job is not only to see that property is signed, his job is also to see that property makes money out of it for the company. So because if your tail goes longer and bigger, your company will let money, will come back to you, they will lose faith in you, customer, that whether the expansion is right or not. So lots of responsibility has come on our shoulder. And we have to be very careful what kind of properties we look. So like for example, in all tier 2 cities, I am targeting state capital. I am targeting the depth in catchments. In the complete catchment, we are able to get the right real estate. We are hoping and we are seeing good green shoots. So I can say our 95% portfolio is coming from us. Because of the quality of real estate we have in the department. But having said that, even the probability of success will be also comes in situation. You can't be 100%, getting growth everywhere. So you have to get into this and you have to learn fast. You all make mistakes. But how fast you learn from those mistakes and correct it. So I think that's what we have been doing our constant endeavor. The mistake I had made, my company would have said me 10 times. But they trusted me. And we have managed to get the portfolio to profitability. That's what we have done.
Mr. Singh, coming to you. Your brand Samsonite is something which I think would resonate with a category of product where I would say the brand and the category would actually be interchangeable because today anybody thinks about a high quality fashion luggage brand and a fashion brand and a luggage brand alongside would think of Samsonite because the kind of product it is. And you've always positioned, and we were talking about this before this at lunch as well. You've never said that, listen, I'm a pure luggage brand and I need to be in that category and location to make money. I have to be in locations which you were talking about in a different way. And I think that's probably one of the big recipe for success of profitability for your store. So I think it would be good to talk about that and share your experience on that.
Pankaj, the time I think we will take
currently shared with you is basically what I come to actually want to make our stores with us while making sure that you connect with the target audience in a reasonable manner. For example, in any shopping mall if you go, you find this whole formula working around to the variants. In the travel zone, in the shoe, in the economy, in the electronics. But somehow I have been not really much convinced that even Ola, my own way of looking at my brand positioning used to be only one single rule, is that where my customers are. Like for example, if there is a Ravi store, there is a Ecos, there is a Piso. I would say if my store is nearby that, those customers can easily connect with me. Imagine somebody buying a watch of 50,000 lakh of rupees, can only think of buying a backpack worth 50,000. Otherwise, if I'm part of a luggage zone, then in that case I'll be compared with Safari, with a whole lot of brands which are in the range of maybe 1,000 rupees, and suddenly you find a backpack of 25, 30,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees of Samsonite. I personally, this was individually my own approach, I guided upon that how you should think. But as how I started with, it has been working very well for us. Number two, within the mall, having put in effort to be out of that zone, I failed because you find the malls are weird. I mean, sometimes there's a thief formula. So you become part of the whole game. But then again, when the opportunity comes, when the agreement gets ready for the renewal, I made an attempt at Forum Mall. And I changed my location from A to B as what I wanted. So by the time I had enough good rapport with the mall person to allow me to do that. Can you imagine my sales in the same mall, the same target audience, went up by 40%? Just 1-0.
Just because the location more relevant each.
Yeah, because for me the teaching was the best, and it was well because I've been finding those successes, tasting those successes at many other places. Like for example, I went to the airport to position my brand, and the very first question by the owner of the airport, the Delhi airport, he said that nobody would like to buy your bags at the airport. People come with the bag and baggages. Who would like to go and buy one more bag? So you're not best fit for the airport. So I decided by not releasing here, the owner himself. And he said, I'm a great fan of your brand. मैं बोला ये ताली और गाली दोनों एक साथ में कैसे मिल रही है? जगह भी नहीं है ठीक है, but I'm a great fan of your brand. वो समझ भी नहीं आया. But somehow I couldn't convince him, frankly speaking. So if it is coming from the owner of the airport, then there are no other ways to convince him. And somehow then I went back and then started to try somewhere else. I got to Bombay and opened the airport at Bombay airport. I started to do well. Then again I went back and shared the numbers with personal assistant of Mr. Rao. And I got the location there again. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to say that we are great thinkers, very innovative in our approach and blah, 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 because don't believe that life doesn't us. I only go by where are my customers, if I can connect them through any size what we suggest for that location. It has to work in a manner that it has to become definitely profitable. But when formula number one is right, the target audience is there, then the point number two is taken care of. The profitability part, you don't have to work. Otherwise, it's very hard to make this.
You know, Rakesh, all the four gentlemen I spoke, they all are really selling a product, right? Which is maybe, I'm not categorizing them in buckets, it's a product, but everything is it's a tangible good. You know, cult, you represent a fitness place which has got a shelf life, right? Today somebody is not coming for the classes, there's nothing else to sell tomorrow, it cannot get sold tomorrow. So how do you look at profitable expansion from your strategic perspective? Whereas it's about a perishable product which cannot be done tomorrow.
You only have 365 days to sell and that many memberships to sell, right? So how do you look at expansion in real estate?
Deepak, first of all, like Mr. MP said, we are loaded with any malls in the zone. We are out of zone. So there is no place to us. We have to find our own place in the market. And see, I will go back almost 9 years back. We started with a very clear routine that the fitness into a bit into converting into a habit. That's what our agenda was. Over a period of time, initially it was the incubation period and we started various programs. Cult group excels was the first format we started with. And 1 hour without getting the classroom, if you don't get, if the 5 minutes left also, you are out. That's how the things we started with. And it worked well, to be honest with you. 1 hour class people were coming into that. Then we started mindful meditation and therapy. It also worked. And after that, actually, we went for the cult sports. Earlier, it was a different format also. So, various things we started. But initially, it was totally a learning. Every day was learning. Whatever the customer was expecting, everything we started doing. And COVID actually entirely changed us. That is the period we realized that this expansion is right. And we were going everywhere and opening every center. And that was the time when we started collecting the profitable nature of it. Group success format itself changed into the current hybrid model where post-COVID, when unique in this, people started to come in for weight training, more of the group access. So from 3,000 corporate, we moved to 5,500 corporate. And in between COVID, one good thing we did is that we acquired many fitness because totally unorganized industry at that particular time. We acquired tools, we acquired fitness first, we acquired play on fitness, and over a period of we acquired the fit zone, so the sports companies. Currently, we have 7 farmers. So, and also recently we launched, we are also in a small steps to already established USA like Health Sports. That's the EBO format. We already started opening sports apparel showrooms in that way. And it's coming currently the same show also. So that's why it's going good. Customers are coming good. Everything was a learning to us. Coming to the profitability is very clear because ultimately we have seen this almost even if most of the brand which vanished in the industry, they moved out because of the rent regulation and wherever people took a lot of decision there. So automatically it actually went in a different direction. And we are very cautious of that. Wherever it's not sustainable to me, we are not going. It's very clear. Secondly, malls, I know Mumbai line will enter out of it. Because I can't go for that because they can be there for winter carpet and never understood how it goes. Sorry to the witness how good the friends of malls and their clothes. At the center, marketing costs, again, whoever goes for the workout, he has to pay the marketing charges. That is not going to sustain. Wherever it's possible, only fitness cost and goals to start. Those things where the light kind of where the good players are actually there, understanding this also they understand us as a community. And that's where we actually planning. When it comes to the other formats, we are very cautious. We are aggressively expanding all the formats. We have our own laboratories like sugar-fit, that's in Bangalore, there's a diabetic reversal clinics. And also we have FitSoon, that's actually sports complexes. We acquire almost after 100 where people can go for fitness, almost swimming, badminton, splash, football, all the things. Likewise, we multiply. But our biggest thing is what the benefit we have is wherever we fail, immediately we started predicting ourselves. Whatever the customers wanted, we talk to us. We are trying to listen more from customers what they want. Like you said, every day is important because my day starts from 6 o'clock in the morning and night starts around 11 o'clock it goes in. And accessibility neighborhood is the priority now because ultimately, if I look at Mumbai, it's not like unlike other cities, vertical population. People are not looking within 500 to 1 kilometer. They want to come to work first, then they want to go to workout or other things. That's why the consumer psychology micro-market is right on this way. That's why it actually started working. That's how our business is really. We are very conscious actually about it and COVID is learning. Now we are very property very important and very important. But of course, some things then we get
Thank you so much, Rakesh. Coming to you, Sahil, 2 years, 3 years working very, very closely with you and your team. The mantra was capture market share, aggressive growth. Probably COVID opened eyes to say that listen, everybody wants to live better and have better products than the others, and Croma had a huge expansion. This year, I know the expansion study is very much in place and it's pretty aggressive as well. But the mantra has slightly changed to talk about saying now profitability is a key. Expansion, but profitability has to be there alongside. And as you've been telling us also, and I mean, we've been sharing with a lot of people as well, in saying that today it's profitability is the key because right from a shareholder to the operations, everybody's aligned with that. So tell me, when you look at suddenly change from a purely high play expansion strategy to profitability, how you change your strategy in terms of what are the steps you've taken to move towards a purely profitable expansion? Not that you were not profitable earlier, but today there's a lot more focus towards it. So what steps have you taken in the last couple of months to become saying, listen, we're not going to do very, very high profitable expansion now?
See, if you see electronics as a category, it's always a paper thing market. So if I have to get profitable, it's not the product what I sell and how do I sell that is going to be very profitable. The profitability in our business will come, I would say, more from how do I become more more conscious of my spend. How do I optimize the use of resources? So in last, if I would say in last 3 years, I think we have just in 2 years we have just doubled our store. In last 2 years we have opened around 250 to 70 stores, and today we have 500 stores. That's the way we expanded. But how we have changed our approach in past 3-4 months is how do we optimize our resources? How do we optimize our costs? Because margins will remain the same. And demand, it's like definitely we can work on demand, but demand is an independent thing. We can't ask people to buy more mobile. We can't ask people to have more burger or to buy more clothes. So that will remain same. It's like how do with the same size, with same resources, how can you get it better out? That's somewhere we have to be more focused. We have just a very basic example. So like in our business, one big process inventory capability. Like lot of other categories, where inventory is not very expensive. We are a multi-brand outlet. I have to buy before I sell. So if I have to buy, my inventory go generally offer range of around 3,000 crores. If somebody with an inventory of 3,000 crores, a simple maths you do what and interest you are going to give. You have to generate much more than that. So can I rework on my inventory by creating the right product for that category? That's it. Until unless I have a good presence in the market, there's no point of working on what customer needs. I have to first be there to give them what they need. So that's why for past 2 years we have been very aggressive to go closer to the consumer, understand them and then try to give them what they need. That's why we used to have a 10,000 square feet store. It's now we are trying to see can we put everything in a range of 7,000-8,000 square feet, which is definitely going to add a lot. Means cut the operational cost.
Great. Sahil, optimizing the stores, using and managing inventory well is really the master of you. Tejaswi, you come from Jubilant FoodWorks, pioneer of the food business in India, particularly the home delivery format, created a homegrown format, Mom's Kitchen, which you're running very, very successfully as well. How are you looking at in say in a market, particularly which I say to put it as a Chinese food market, which is overly competitive because every street corner would have probably if not 2 or 3 would have one small shop or a homegrown player or a family running a street food Chinese player as well, and particularly have a bigger brand as well. So how are you looking at in making those stores profitable and capturing the market in this space?
Thanks, Pankaj. I think the added advantage that we have is, like you mentioned, every single street corner or every single neighborhood will have some Chinese store out here. So the one thing that I never had to worry about is in terms of acceptability.
Is a market or not?
So there is a market that is available. So that is what I knew. There are 2 pillars on which this market has been built. One is it has been built on variety. second, it has been built on Telegram. That's basically the two things that we have understood. If I look at let's say the roadside shopping center or the momo centers, where the variety is lower, but you have a certain set of audience which goes and basically orders from them. So what we are trying to do right now, and this is a very complex cuisine which involves a lot of ingredients and it has multiple heat sources. So what we are trying to do, I think everything that we touched upon, is we know that there is a market, and this market is largely on high street, and it's in our interest to sort of convert these people into a restaurant format where they can walk in, they get the experience, they get the same food quality, and they don't have to worry about the hygiene standards. And every single time they come into the store, they get the same consistency. One of the key things that we have observed, and this is something that we are learning as we go, is the consistency of the food. Chinese is typically very complicated in terms of the preparation itself and the support of ingredients that you have. Maintaining the consistency is always difficult. So the things that we have done so far is make sure that we are consistent, we are giving a consistent experience, go into places where there is a fit with the PG that we are looking at, product fit, and that is so far helping us. And this is what has helped us in terms of moving forward. The only other thing that I will add, which I think the rest of the panel probably is, they have the luxury of looking at data over many years, and they have the know-how in terms of which product or which format or which segment works. We are right now in that learning phase, and if there is anybody in the audience which is in that phase, the only thing that I have told the team as well is the first contact is equally important. So if you look at the mix of any of my stores, there's a healthy mix of new customers who are going to walk in, and there's going to be a healthy mix of repeat customers. And the repeat is built on the people who are there in the store and the kind of experience that they are able to get. And we are not like a McDonald's, we are not like an international chain where the moment you open a store, there will be lots of people standing outside. So the only way for us where we are able to move past the gestation period and become profitable is if our repeat rates and the experiences are perfect. So that's the other piece that we are very cognizant of, and we want to make sure that we are maintaining that consistency.
Tusheet, I want to skip you for a minute. First come to Viren and then come to you, because I think you're the guy who's going to support all these guys to look at the next level. So coming to Viren first. You came into a space which is very interesting. Big boys in the international world already selling burgers in India. Right from Akshat, my friend here, McDonald's to Burger Kings and the others. And you coming into the space and trying to build an outlet chain. And I know you started with first delivery and then now the full speed experience service outlets are also there. But you ultimately are also looking at real estate, which is also being with similar brands and other brands could, or any other who could have deep pockets or a track record. And you came in suddenly on a new entrant and made a big mark for yourselves in this chain as well. So how is that strategy coming around? How are you changing it? Is there, after McDonald's, how many years have you been in India? 27?
95.
95. You know, and coming and saying, we're going to build a new chain in India, which is for India and going to be profitable as well. How are you guys doing it?
Firstly, thanks to McDonald's, people know what a burger is. So it starts from there. So we're not building category here. What we're addressing is a need. And when we define a customer, we talk about a customer who's looking for a better burger experience. Right? That could be in the form of taste, that could be in the form of his physical, the joy he gets out of the store, the culture around it. So there's an opportunity around that which we're trying to address. Right? We're addressing an untapped need as such, maybe. That's happened abroad where formats such as In-N-Out, 5 Guys, address that market. So that exists. From a real estate point of view, I think it's about being capital efficient. As a startup, you don't have the funds to be able to address or go into malls, deal with the rent and revenue ratios that exist out there. But as you grow and people sort of recognize your brand, it's important to be in a place where there's a captive audience, right? We're in airports, we're in malls, we're on highways, and you cannot ignore the captive audience because the delivery market, and I'm not from this industry, but I've learned over the course of the last few years, the delivery market, people at home may not necessarily have tried you in your stores or vice versa. So you want to be where the customer is. We are opportunistic, as we say, and we want to be able to give a customer an experience. The fullest form of our existence is in the physical realm, and when we have funds supporting us to do that, we are able to expand.
Great. Tusheet, coming to you. All the big boys in the industry put and new entrants here. So you represent a very interesting business, GeoIQ, right? And so you're telling me that how you help brands and businesses become profitable and look at data to look at the next expansion of some index and inform. So can you just tell us all about it and how you can help and what are the new insights which are coming out?
Sure, Pankaj. So, I'd like to start with Akshat, actually. So, what actually you mentioned, we do a lot of those things and we help what McDonald's does and has developed over like years of their expertise and putting their efforts into developing the technology in which you can actually reliably estimate what is the kind of performance that you can expect. Just doing, and we are doing that across cities, and we are democratizing that for all the brands. So it all starts with, for us, it all starts with first understanding the catchment around any locations. What is the kind of audience that lives there? What is their kind of affluence levels? How many of them are there? Also, then understanding how do they travel to this location where uh, where you are proposing a new store, and then also estimating the kind of footfalls that you are going to expect at that location. Understanding what kind of complementary brands were also mentioned by Sir. We also kind of understand what, which kind of brands complement to your brand. They might not be direct competition, and but adjacency to those brands, and if those brands are actually doing well in those locations or not. Uh, what are the real estate trends in that area? How are they changing? What are the future infrastructure developments being planned in this area? Taking all of these things into account, and then reliably estimating the performance of a new store is where we come. This is what we help to do. And all the brands here mentioned, like these guys have opened a lot of stores, and that comes in with a lot of like great experiences also, and it's especially with such large format stores, it becomes like a very big cost if even one store fails, and that is where we come in. We bring down that rate of failure, just to add to a point which Sir was mentioning here earlier. So we using, if you have a mechanism in which you are able to predict your success at a store at a particular location, you can do a simulation across different cities. So a strategy which was mentioned in the conversation before, like selecting just the capitals of states might not be the ideal strategy. There might be a smaller town otherwise where one market is particularly much better suited than the best market in the capital city of the state. So we can help simulate and also evaluate different areas, scan the entire cities for you, check out which markets and how will they rank according to performance. So all of that through data is where we come.
Great. Tusheet, thank you so much. And with this, I'd like to sum up the panel as well. I think today there is data available, and but I think there is one side is data, and the other side is the experience. Right from Akshat to Deepak to Arun to NB and to Sahil and Rakesh and Viren have talked about. It's a combination of factors. It's about looking at your business very carefully in terms of what works profitability. It's about the experience. It's about persistence, as NB was talking about, that he kept chasing Mr. Rao for a store at the airport. It was about the research which McDonald's does. It's about I would say the bouquet of brands to create for which can be off-roaded to different markets, which Arun was talking about. So I think there is a huge opportunity to create a profitable business, and it's a combination of these. And I think if you want to be more smarter in this world, and apart from the experience you want to take on, and if somebody gets like Tusheet per se to run his business, and they can provide you with the backing data as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the panel for this session.